Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. I found kind of an interesting lot a couple of days ago on eBay. Now, unfortunately, this auction's already ended, but fortunately for us, now we can talk about why this thing sold for $2,247. Okay, so this auction was listed as a Gibson guitar old, 1960s, as 4 parts are not working, and it looks like the auction started at only $100. His description is, "What you see is what it is. I know nothing about guitars. They must be usable, right? All I can tell you is it's old." And whenever I see a listing like this, it's kind of humbling. I mean, I live in a world of guitars. I live and breathe it every day. So the fact that somebody doesn't know anything about this particular SG, it's just like, whoa, I can't believe it. I bet this guy is just over the moon and had no idea his auction would end at over $2,000. So let's take a look at this thing. Besides the SG over here, we actually have some interesting parts over here. This looks like it belongs to some sort of a Fender guitar. That might have some value. I'm not quite as finely tuned in the Fender world. It could also just be some replica. But you can see it's been sawn in half right there. And this headstock, it's a slotted style, kind of reminds me of a Martin. Who knows what it actually is. It appears to have been sliced off right here at the neck too. But it still at least has tuners, so maybe you could find a way to join that onto a guitar body if you wanted to. But that got me thinking, okay, this might actually be like a dumpster diving lot, because factory rejects tend to get chopped up kind of like this. And this piece right here actually belongs to the Vibrola system. It looks like all the pieces are there, but then we get the SG body. Now, it's pretty apparent that this guy knows that this is the most valuable aspect because he actually took photos of our serial number here. He took some pictures of what the pickups are underneath it. And it looks like he has some of the original parts in a gray poupon jar. So we can see the original witch hats, the original style knobs. It looks like we still have the pots in here. I'm really surprised that these are all the photos that he gave us, because if he would have took the back off and we could have dated it by the pot codes, that would have been helpful. I'm not a super expert on the vintage SGs, so we'll kind of dive into that later as to what year I think this one is, but it definitely falls within the late 60s because it's a batwing pickguard. So we're talking like 1966 through about 1971. And it looks like we have recorded sales anywhere between like $2,250 all the way to a high of about $5,000 within the past 2 years, and it's stayed relatively constant here. As of today, we have offerings around $4,500. I mean, this one for $2,750, I think we actually did a separate Would You Rock or Not episode on. Somebody has modified this into a string through. They've done a whole bunch of stuff to hide up cracks, repairs, Bigsby's, other units. The whole Gibson logo is actually missing, but that's pretty common on the 69s and 70s. If I remember correctly, this one's also had a headstock repair. Whereas this one, by one of the more interestingly named shops, Bananas at Large, this thing is actually in pretty halfway decent shape, I would say. So what exactly has happened to this SG? Why is the neck just completely broken off like that? Okay, first off, that's actually a lot more common than you would believe. You see this little neck tenon right here? How tiny it is? There's not a lot of wood around here, so if a SG gets a great big bang to the back, it is not uncommon for 60s SGs to need the necks put back on them. It's not just headstock repairs for these guys. The whole neck just gets chopped off. Now, apparently, it's easy enough to do that. It looks a little bit ugly because you get crack marks, but that's how you can get golden era SGs for like half the price. This is ridiculously common. The only thing that's actually a little bit scary about this thing is this. So the fact that the pickguard is covering that, it kind of hides what you might see under here. I'm guessing it's not too different, but is this actually even still attached to the guitar or not is the question I have. I'm guessing no, but thankfully it looks like it would all line up pretty good, so a quick little glue job should suffice. You might have to do some filler and whatnot, but a good skilled luthier, that's not a problem at all. The impressive part is that we still have this piece right here, so you don't have to, get a vintage SG, get somebody that has a duplicarver machine to completely make a perfect half restoration, like you just cut it in half and then splice new wood onto there to make it look correct, because technically you could get away with doing that because it would all be hidden underneath the Vibrola and then hidden underneath your batwing guard. It'd be visible on the back, but who's ever going to see it on the back when you're playing it? So I really don't think it'd be that hard for them to restore that. However, what concerns me are these little micro cracks here. This looks like it was some sort of a barn find, like it has not been in very good conditions for a long period of time. This wood is completely dried out, you've got some cracks, and knowing that the body is in this kind of condition, it really makes me worry about this neck. Because the wood's likely moved, you've had some expanding or shrinking, depending on where this thing was stored. I mean, you can see some of the binding is falling off. That's likely because, you know, the frets don't change in size, so it's like slowly poking at the binding. It's common for Gibsons to have those little neck cracks right there. That's because it's like fret sprout, but it doesn't actually sprout because the binding's in the way. So I think somebody kind of took a little bit of a gamble on this one. Because, I mean, if the neck is just so out of shape, that's going to be a lot more work. Heaven forbid if there's a big chunk of the heel missing. But hopefully, somebody didn't buy this to pay somebody else to fix it. This is likely a project for somebody that actually already knows what they're doing. They can just put their time into it and then sell it for a profit. Because with the Vibrola unit actually still being original, I believe you could probably sell that for like $450 because it's an original 60s one. Those things don't pop up too often. Like this one, it appears to be gold, but not complete. They want $200. Here's one that doesn't even have the arm. They want $469. Somebody wants $300 for the arm. So maybe I'm a little bit shy on that price. You might be able to get a little bit more. But just being conservative here, let's say it's worth $400. I think you could get that for it at least. From this photo, we can see the original tuners on here, which are double ring, double line Kluson Deluxe. It's probably worth, you know, conservatively about $200. You could probably fetch a little bit more. So that's $600 just on a couple of parts here. And now we get the pickups. These are patent number T-tops. This set, I would say, as long as they're still working, which I don't see any reason why they wouldn't, you could get between $500 to $700. So $500 on the pickups, $400 on the trim, and $200 just on the tuners. That's $1,100 just right there. Unfortunately, we are missing our truss rod cover, so there's no value added there. The pots, they're really not worth too much. It looks like our toggle switch is all beat up. I mean, the poker chip ring is in bad shape. I suppose you could sell off the original pick guard. Maybe $200 if somebody really needs it, but that appears to be pretty worn too. I'm not really sure how much these headstocks are. He didn't take enough photos of them for us to really be able to identify them any further. But maybe somebody wants them for decorations or props. Let's say $50. So getting a vintage 60s SG project for $800? Yeah, that's starting to seem like a deal now, because if they know how to fix it, put the neck back in there, even if they restored it with non-original parts, I would still say once repaired properly and had no issues at all, I would still say you could probably get $2,500 to $3,000 to the right buyer for this player's grade SG. So when you think of it that way, it's a lot of work to put in, but I mean, if you're just bored at home, you don't have anything else to do, and you want to make $1,000, it was worth it for someone. Because there is always a market for these 60s SGs. It doesn't matter what condition it is. I mean, that string through one is a bit extreme, but it appears there were at least 2 guys really going after it. But then, at the end, somebody just slightly outbid them, never bid on anything else. Number 19 came out of nowhere and took the cake. So for today's playing demo, let's check out an old Batwing SG. Only question left, would you rock this guitar once restored or not? Leave your answer down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.